bit and let's talk about some football. Let's talk about the Bears situation. Obviously, the Bears are not the most prominent subject being discussed in Chicago right now. It's the offseason. We're not yet close enough to the draft to really, really be full speed ahead in that conversation. And the same thing can be said for free agency. But Chicago's fans are never going to stop talking about this quarterback situation until we feel comfortable about it. And hey, if you've been a Bears fan for any length of time, when is the last time you felt comfortable about your quarterback situation? So as I've had time to digest, right, and take a step back and look at what we got with Trubisky. We can all sit here and take shots and say Bears should have drafted Patrick Mahomes. They should have. The Bears should have stayed put and drafted Deshaun Watson. They should have. Better players than Mitchell Trubisky. I don't think that's even debatable. But at this point, I think we have to stop comparing Mitchell Trubisky to Mahomes and Watson because it really doesn't make any sense. And to be frank, he doesn't have to be either of those guys to be an asset to the squad. Unfortunately, he's so far off that he's not an asset to the team. So because that's the case, and because he is fairly deep into his career at this point, just finished up his second full season with this current head coach and play caller and so on and so forth, it is time to look at other options. Now, I'm not saying that you have to dump Trubisky, completely just give up on him and you just go to the next option. I'm not saying that. I think if I'm being rational and I'm, some months removed from this season and got an opportunity to not be making an emotional decision, I think it's a little premature to say, okay, you need to dump Trubisky. Now, it depends on what your options are, right? And I don't think that there is a realistic option out there for the Bears to go that route. The best option to me is Teddy Bridgewater, but all indications are that Teddy Bridgewater is going to command starter money. And because you invested so much in Mitchell Trubisky, and because he has probably very little trade value across the league, you would be giving up on Trubisky so quickly and basically saying that all of the draft picks and things that you sacrificed to be in position to draft him, you're just throwing that out of the window and you're just hitting reset. And that is tough. That's a lot of pressure, I think, also to put on Bridgewater. And not to say that he can't handle it, but I don't know. I think it's a little early to do something like that. And I love Bridgewater, but I'm not sure that you can do that now. I think better options right now is looking at someone like Jameis Winston, who may or may not be available in free agency this season. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers could slap the franchise tag on Winston, which would keep him off of the market. But if they don't, which I don't think that that's a given, if they don't, you have to think about, is Jameis Winston a better option for before the Bears than Mitchell Trubisky? And you can't just look at the statistics here. This situation is much deeper than that. It's much more complicated than that. Jameis Winston led the NFL in passing yards and touchdowns this past season, but he also was right up there when it comes to interceptions. Now, far more interceptions than Trubisky, but the thing you have to realize is that he threw the ball a great deal more than Trubisky. Part of that is because the Bucs were down a lot. I'm sorry, he didn't lead the league in touchdown passes, led the league in interceptions. He led the league in passing yards with 5,109, and he threw 30 interceptions, which is a lot. But he still did throw 33 touchdown passes. Had a completion rate of 60.7, which is not great. Trubisky's completion percentage was much higher, but Winston went downfield more, which is a higher risk pass for sure. And Trubisky was more dinking and dunking. And you also have to have watched these games. As a person who literally watched all of these games all of the Bears games, it's not just the interceptions. It's not just the um, fumbles or turnovers. For Trubisky, the part that is maddening for you, if you are a Bears fan, if you are following this team, is the amount of just flat missed open receivers. I cannot count how many times Taylor Gabriel, Anthony Miller had guys beat on routes that could have very well been touchdowns, could have very well changed the entire tenor of a game. And I watched Trubisky airmail passes to those guys. And it's very difficult to quantify how impacting those sequences are. Because yes, as a fan, you're sitting there watching and going, he missed the pass. Oh my God, that was a touchdown. You just put that on the money. But when you're a player on that team, you have to think that those guys are thinking like, do we even have confidence in this guy? Because if you're a receiver, I just beat my guy. I just won my matchup. I just won my mini game. I now am depending on this guy to put that ball on me so that I can make a play. And he hasn't shown the ability to be able to do that. So you're now worried. And that's why I think the leadership qualities and that ability to get guys to follow you is so important at this position. And if you ask me, I feel that Jameis Winston has more of that charisma. He has more of that command of a huddle than Trubisky. Winston has had his problems off the field. He's like still in crab legs, and we all know the situations, right? But the one thing that I've noticed about this guy since college and into the NFL is that players will follow him. His teammates, his offensive unit will follow him. He has a natural leadership ability. He has these natural leadership qualities that I don't necessarily see in Trubisky. Here's the thing. Is there another team out there that will definitively give Jameis Winston an opportunity to score? I mean, to start and say, you're our starter. We're bringing you in here. This is what we're bringing you in here for. You know, obviously, if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers franchise tag him, that's what they're saying to him, that you're not going to slap the franchise tag on a guy who's not your starter. But is there another team? So say, for instance, the Bucs don't slap franchise tag on him and they'll allow him to become a free agent. Is there another team that's going to compete with the Bears to get Jameis Winston in as their starter? And the thing of that is that the Bears are probably not in a position to hand over the starting job to Winston. At best, they're probably offering him an opportunity to compete. And they've already said that coming in the training camp, Mitchell Trubisky is going to be their starter. So in essence, that actually kind of handicaps what they can do or who they can go after, because you've already verbally committed to this guy. So whomever you bring in, you got to be bringing them in, and this person has to understand that they're going to be a backup to start the season, and they have to either wait for Trubisky to falter or to get hurt. And I don't know if Jameis Winston's going to want to do that because he's been starting most of his career. Had a little brief time where he lost his job, came back and got it. For the most part, he's been a starter. So because of that, this may not even matter. And the Bears may have to look at other options, less attractive options. They may have to look at guys like Marcus Mariota, whom I don't hate, right? I don't hate. I think there's still something left there to be had with him. But to me, he's not as proven as Jameis Winston. He doesn't have the same arm talent as Jameis Winston. And I don't think he's the same level of a leader as Jameis Winston, which that's the part that really, really is getting me with Jameis Winston. That's the part that I feel is the most attractive, because the Bears need offensive leadership in a major way. They have defensive leadership. The Bears, in my opinion, have a Super Bowl caliber defense already. They need somebody on the field who is an offensive leader, and they don't have that. And obviously, that's supposed to come from the quarterback position, and you just don't have it with Mitch. Mitch is not, he does not carry this aura of confidence that bleeds out onto his team. He doesn't have that it factor. And I don't know that he's going to magically get it this season. I feel that if this was a skill and a trait that Trubisky had, that we'd have seen it already. And we have not seen it. We have not. I mean, flashes don't get it. Flashes don't get it. Flashes of solid play don't get it. I mean, if you look over, like even Trubisky's numbers are like deceiving. Like if you look at the 2018 season, you say, "Oh, well, he had 24 touchdowns and 12 interceptions." Well, he got a lot of that in one little pocket of games where you had to, like I always say, you had to have seen these games. You can't just look at these numbers. Trubisky has not put together a stretch of consistency yet that would lead us to believe that you should be comfortable with him and you should be committing to him in the offseason, saying he's our guy. We'll see. But I like to throw that Jameis Winston concept out there. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about it. If you feel that it is a smart addition, is it a smart pursuit? If you had to compare Jameis Winston, Mitchell Trubisky, and you could have your pick for the Bears moving forward, who would it be? My pick would be Jameis Winston. I know it's probably seemingly bold, but that would be my guy.
Pocket, I'll be weak. I'm rather unique.